So they piak you, then you.
But Jesus also said, if I tell the truth, why do you slap me?
I'm trying to figure out.
Contextualize something.
Yeah, what's the problem
can we
with
try,
this
try
statement?
to
No, it means to offer yourself as a sacrifice once again. Because you kena hit already, then okay lah, hit me again lah. That's wrong, what? No,
Why is it wrong?
what do you mean? If someone stab you, then you okay. This is the
Yeah, it's
other
your
hand
own
stab me one
dignity,
more time.
right? Hello and welcome back to another episode of TBH. Today we'll be talking about toxic relationships and how to navigate them. Today back on set we have Father Justin and we also have Daniel, who's the principal therapist at Catholic Family Life. Hello everybody.
Hello.
Yes, let's talk about toxicity. So the word toxic, honestly I've heard it a lot of times from my friends. I see it online. I don't know whether people are using it right, but I think let's start off there, just defining the difference between toxicity and like abuse. Because I think sometimes people use the word toxic like, she never reply me. Toxic, don't care about me, toxic, which is not very good. So I will read what I googled because that's my only experience. Okay, so toxic, it says that it's unhealthy or harmful behavioral patterns, refers to relationships or behaviors that are emotionally draining, manipulative or dysfunctional but not necessarily abusive, often unintentional and stems from immaturity, insecurity, poor communication or emotional woundedness. Whereas abuse is deliberate harm, control or exploitation. Abuse is intentionally harmful, involving power and control over another person. It can be emotional, verbal, physical, sexual, spiritual, or financial.
I find that very hard to reconcile, that you can be manipulative, unintentional. I can understand that part, but to say that as long as it's unintentional, that means it's not abuse. I find that hard to reconcile because, like, if you talk about old school parenting, it's whack, whack, whack. Then that the father has good intentions or the parent has good intentions, but the child may still feel very fearful and suffer trauma from that. So I don't think having no intent or being unaware of it or not being deliberate, then it doesn't constitute abuse. It's just toxic. Yeah.
So how would you define a toxic relationship?
Like, let's say, she ignored me, or I text and didn't ignore. So is that really about how I'm taking it? And I am then saying that I'm not happy, I don't like it. Then I just use the word toxic. That's just dealing with day-to-day relationships, right? That sometimes people, you don't get things your way and then calling it toxic. I think that's a little
Toxic.
mislabeling.
Actually, based on all the use you journey with, right? Have you ever heard the term toxic being used?
All the time. But I think if you want to really get down to the matter, we need to ask them to describe. So the description helps, right? Because then we have a sense of what is the object, what is happening in the relationship. That's the first thing, right? And then the second thing is, okay, how is this affecting you as a person? Yeah.
So is it accurate to say that toxicity is a form of abuse, like a subset?
I mean, if someone says, I'm in a toxic relationship, professionally, I will ask, what do you mean? What are you experiencing? A lot about the impact on the person who's reporting that I'm in a toxic relationship.
So it depends on the threshold of the person.
Of course, there's objective and subjective. Because subjectively, if someone has been in a so-called toxic relationship for too long, they don't even know that it's toxic. So sometimes when they go, you mean your parents don't beat you? And like,
It's true. Many people grew up with that as the norm, right? So they think that every parent will be beating their children.
yeah.
Even in the scriptures it says, spare the rod and spoil the child, something like this. Right, so there is, I think, a level whereby certain punishments may be appropriate at certain levels, right? And I think then those we cannot say that they are toxic. So, of course, you should not cane out of anger. You should also, of course, not take sadistic pleasure in caning someone else. That's strange, right? But I think it's possible for a parent to maybe discipline their child, right? While having neither of these emotions. Maybe there is a kind of, I don't want to do this, but you have to learn, right? And that's important, right? And I think that's I would say, it's maybe we can call it a loving emotion.
Yes, be like rational punishment. Can't be too drastic, essentially.
Yeah. Within reason.
So if let's say like your parents constantly put you down, I mean, in this society, maybe it's a lot of comparison, right? Either with your siblings or cousins and stuff like that. Like you're
Not good enough.
yeah, you're not good enough. Then is that a form of toxic relationship? And then how would you counsel the youth in that sense?
I think for me, in these cases, it would be trying to get to the heart of the matter, right? And that's where I think faith is important. Because these questions of, not good enough or I'm constantly being compared with someone else ultimately affects the identity, right? And a person's perception of his or her own identity, right? So again, faith comes in by saying, okay, this may be what other people say about you, but actually what does God say about you, right? And who are you to God? And it's trying to establish that baseline, right? That, God created all of us, each and every one of us, we are created good. When talking to you sometimes, it's also helping them to understand, why do you think your parents are like this? Maybe they have had their own history. Maybe this is the only way they know how to communicate. And we can agree that they can learn to communicate better. But maybe on your part, you also need to be able to accept and understand that this is where they are right now, right? And try to draw what is good from that relationship. If they can see at some level, right, that I don't want my parents to communicate like that, it's very hurtful, but maybe they still want what is good for me. Actually, then there's a lot of hope, in the relationship.
It's always as though, like as a young person, I need to try to understand where my parents are coming from, right? Try to see their point of view and try to be, like, have some kind of perspective lah. Then afterwards, it's like, why is it always on me? Like, why is the burden always on me to be the mature one?
You
They are
supposed
messing
to be
up,
the
but
mature one. Exactly.
It's not that the youths are the ones who have to be mature, and then therefore they have to respond to their parents. Really, it's a question of, and this is true, I think, in any relationship, right? If in any relationship things are not going well, the reality is the person who recognizes it, who knows it, who then wants to do something about it, actually this is where the hope lies. So it doesn't matter if it's the parent, it doesn't matter if it's the child, it doesn't even matter if among peers, or whatever, but the responsibility, or rather the goodness, the call, lies in the person who says, this is not good. Let's do something about it.
I think it's important to sit with the youth's pain, what they're going through. I think if we are so quick to move to, your parents, they also went through hardship, they didn't get very good parenting themselves. That's why, so now I tell you this, so you should go back and understand them better. I think that would be toxic. Right? That would be not sitting and accompanying them and acknowledging their pain and their feelings. And I think only when they feel heard, when they feel that, somebody understands and acknowledges the pain I'm going through, then the possibility of perspective taking is there.
Okay, so we are saying that if it's like outright, like your parents are abusive, then it's quite clear cut, right? But it's the in-between that's hard. And so, for example, I saw this, I think TikToker, I can't remember the exact context of his situation, but he was like showing videos of how his mom, I think had like OCD or something. So because of that, then the way in which she manages the household is very like oppressive lah, right? There's a lot of like
Controlling.
yeah, and like there's a lot of things that he can and cannot do, and then like if he does things that she's not happy about, then the way she comes in to berate him is then very like unhealthy for him. So in these kind of situations, like okay, I don't know whether it's on the line of being abusive yet, right? But obviously it's not healthy for him. So like, is it valid then for him to say, you know what, I can't live with you right now, and like I can't deal with this relationship with you, and because of that, then I'm gonna move on. I'm not gonna like have any contact with you, because any contact with you is going to affect my mental health. Yeah, so like from maybe your point of view, like is that a valid toxic situation?
If you have a family member who has a mental health condition, like OCD or schizophrenia or personality disorder, they can, because of that mental health condition, it actually expresses itself in ways that are detrimental to caregivers or other family members. And it's important, I feel, to separate the person from the mental illness. So that relationship is also almost like hijacked by the mental illness already. So it's not really his mum in that sense.
Right.
It's the mental illness sort of controlling his mum in that way. If she didn't have that mental illness, if she didn't have that OCD, she would be a very different version of it. But in cases like this, like you said, you don't choose your parents, right? Yeah. So what do? There is no right or wrong, but it's really how do we support people like that and our brothers and sisters in Christ, how to support them going through such a difficult kind of situation. Of course, I would advocate first take care of yourself. Right. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of mum. Yeah, much as you might want to. But if you are going into depression, you are losing it in that sense, then that's not going to be helpful.
So in that situation, if let's say the individual chooses then to, for example, move out, right, because I need to take care of myself, can that then be seen as like an act of compassion or even like honouring your parents in this case?
Yeah, I think so. And you know, there's always in between sometimes also, right? Moving out doesn't mean 100% moving out, I'm not going to see you again, right? But maybe if, and it's, we have to gauge, right? Maybe if it's okay, you know, 2 days a week, right? You have your own place to stay and you just have the quiet time so that you can rest, right? You can recuperate and then you go back to taking care of mum. I mean, that's fine. If that works, that's fine, right? I think that's where exploring these options and possibilities are very important. But I think it's also good to maybe interject. What I want to say is like maybe the more spiritual element to all of this. So I do hear of quite a lot, right? Okay. I mean, not the specifics, but you know, God tells me to love my family, my loved one. It can be mom, dad, can be child, can be sibling, whatever. And so, you know, in all of this, right, then I just need to stay the course, and this is my cross that I have to bear, and this is my sacrifice. Okay? It's very common. People think this way a lot. And I have to say, it's not always wrong. But I think the question that we really need to look at in all of this is, if this is the cross that God wants you to bear, right? If this is the suffering that, yeah, maybe it is going to help you to grow and become more holy, right? Then, very simply, the strength to bear all these things, right? Where is it coming from? Right? Are you feeling that you're drawing only from your own reservoirs of strength, right? Or is the Lord providing that strength, right? At points in your life, in your prayer, right? When you go to church, is there a sense of peace? Is there the comfort that the Lord brings, right? So all this discernment is very important. Because the reality could be also, maybe the Lord is saying, no, you need to rest. You need to find out a way that you can sustain this. But if you're not able to listen to that, and you think erroneously in these cases that, no, I must bear this, then I think that's dangerous. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, right, like, not that this is directed to my parents at all, but like, is there any circumstance where the commandment to honour your father and mother, like, can be thrown out the window? Because if, for example, they are straight up abusive, then like, isn't it very red flag behaviour for the church to still be like, no, but you must still honour your father and mother? Like, if these people are the ones abusing you, like hitting you, you know, and like mental torture and everything, and still like, if I'm told, no, you must still honour them.
Can you honour them from afar?
Actually, my first question is, are they aware to care for them? I mean, are they aware and able to care for themselves, to know what's going on?
Okay.
Because if they're already trapped in, no, no matter what, no, I cannot leave, I cannot, but then there's so much hurts and pain that are being done onto them, right? Actually, my first take is, okay, let's how to help this person help himself or herself, right? Because that's the first step.
Yeah, so if the person is like, but you know, I need to honour them, I need to like...
Honour didn't say stay with them and put up with abuse. Right? You can honour them in other ways. Yeah. And sometimes honouring them also is helping them to take responsibility for their behaviour. That actually what you're doing is harming, it's not right.
But that's what the Bible said, right?
Yeah.
Children to obey, to
Where?
be obedient to your parents, right?
You're referring to the St. Paul's letter one?
I don't know.
Right, don't drive them to resentment, or so it says.
Yes.
Yeah. Right, so
Must be
it's
both.
balanced. It's balanced. It's balanced.
Okay, on the topic of like boundaries, let's say I can't leave my house. So I guess the second best thing is to create boundaries for myself within that household.
Physical boundaries.
Physical boundaries, or like, I guess, emotional boundaries. Example, like, you know there's a certain topic they'll always trigger them to like berate you maybe. So you just like, you know what, boundaries, I'm not going to talk about it. Every time you bring it up, no.
The boundaries, I would say, is important. It's case by case, right? The best is if we can bring the whole family down to talk about it, right? And just to sit with them through all of that. And in general, right, so this is where I would say this is the certain behaviours might be toxic, but the relationships themselves are not that toxic yet. Why? Because then, remember what I said about good, right? We still can try to get them to identify what is good, what is the hope that they have, right? Then, okay, if this is your hope, right? Each family member is like this, right? Then, okay, how do we get there? And they're still willing to work, right? Then I'll say, okay, actually this is not, strictly speaking, a toxic relationship. There can be some toxicity, right? Maybe due to past hurts, but there's hope.
How would someone know like whether I'm carrying the cross like coming from a good place or I've gone into the realm of like being a martyr? Like how would a person know whether it's healthy or unhealthy, you know?
I think the sense of freedom is very important, right? So Jesus says very importantly, right? No one can make me give up my life. I choose it. Like in freedom, I choose it. Out of love for the people around me, I choose it, right? And very often, that's not really the experience that I have pastorally of people when they come, right? Because number one, a lot of times when they come seeking help, right? And help not just, Father, pray for me, right? Because then that's fine. Yes, I'll pray for you. It's easy, right? But what do I do and all that? So if you are really freely making this choice and you know what's going on, why are you still asking for help?
As Catholics, then we'll be like, we are called to be saints.
Yeah.
So then if I see a saint who, for example, if let's say I was in a very abusive marriage, right? And I see a saint who also in an abusive marriage, but she tong. Then I'll be like, okay, I need to tong, right?
Actually, sometimes, Shah.
Not me.
No, not you. No, sometimes in these situations, I don't know whether this is mean, I'll say, please have some humility, lah. Yeah, I know you're talking about the saints, and I know you want to emulate them, but also have some humility, lah, to know where you are.
Yeah, maybe you're not called to be such an amazing saint.
Yet.
So I'm on my way. So then they'll say, my abusive husband is good for my salvation.
Persevere more.
Okay, lor. Then again, conscience, if you chose it, you live it.
So all you can do then as a pastor is just to accompany.
Yeah, and no, I will also share in such cases, I really don't think in my role as your priest, this is what the Lord is asking of you right now. But again, I cannot say everything. I don't know everything, right? I can only tell you very truthfully what I think in prayer, what comes out to me, right? Yeah, I mean, and so fair enough. In some cases, I don't know. Then I tell you, I really don't know. I ask the Lord. He also sometimes don't tell me. He doesn't give me the answer. It's true, right? But when I'm not comfortable, I really don't think this is what God is asking of you. If you think otherwise, power to you. I'll pray for you.
I think like in church, or at least from what we hear from other people within the churches, right? In the church. there are other sayings that we might hear where they think it's our good intentions, but actually they're not. So actually I have a few here that I'll list out, right? Then you're just like throw in like whether correct or wrong in these sort of situations. So the first one we have is pray for those who persecute you. So let's say I'm in a toxic relationship, right? And then people tell me, just pray. It will get better.
Okay, see. Scripture says, pray for those who persecute you. It didn't say, just pray for those who persecute you. So,
pray and do something.
So prayer is always very, 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 very good. You cannot run away from prayer, right? But don't just pray.
You need to do something.
Yes. Or see what comes out in prayer. What the Lord is inviting you to do, to act. It's important, yeah.
Next one. It says, turn the other cheek. So they piak you then.
But Jesus also said, if I tell the truth, why do you slap me?
I'm trying to figure out, what's the problem with this statement?
No, it means to offer yourself as a sacrifice once again, you know. Is it? Because you kena hit already, then okay lah, hit me again lah. That's wrong, what? No.
Why is it wrong?
What do you mean? If someone stab you, then you okay, this is the
It's
other
your
hand
own
stab me one
dignity,
more time.
right? It's the
But to me, how I understand it is that it's counter to an eye for an eye.
Yeah.
counter to
It's don't take revenge.
Don't hit back. Right? You turn the other cheek, you look the
But
other
in
way,
the
you
literal
don't.
sense.
No, but you need to protect yourself, right? I mean, this is where we are talking about like protecting yourself from toxic relationships and not allow the other to further.
Yeah, no, but what I understand when you say that turn the other cheek is not to take revenge, it's not like, oh, you poke me, I poke you back, and maybe I poke you even harder, you know.
So in
But
this
then
sense, don't counter toxic
retaliate.
with more toxic.
Yeah.
Like be the healthy
Is that
one.
what Jesus meant?
Yeah, help
Okay,
us.
okay. When Jesus decided to sacrifice himself,
Yes.
right, on the cross, right, to be crucified, did he lose his dignity as a human person? I would say that Jesus never lost that. Right? And so then, the sacrifice that he makes, or even St. Maximilian Kolbe, for example, right? These sacrifices that people make in their free will, knowing probably what was going to happen to them, right? They don't lose their dignity. So nothing was, their physical selves may have been harmed, they may have lost their lives per se, but they don't lose their souls,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's the way to look at this thing about turn the other cheek, or any other cases where, yes, you should have some level of appropriate self-defense, but there are times where you are called to give, or how should I say, to sacrifice, right? In those moments when you are in possession of who you are, you know what's going on, right? And you retain the dignity, it is the will of the Lord that you do so, then no one can deny you the right to make that sacrifice. Yeah, you do it out of love to achieve what is good, right? I would then also caveat this by saying, in my limited experience as a priest, pastoral experience, 5 years, very seldom have I come across someone who is at that space where they can just say, no, it's okay, I sacrifice. Right? So what I'm trying to say is, I think turn the other cheek, it's clear what Daniel is saying, yeah, don't take revenge, right? A certain level of being vulnerable, and I think ideally that should be the case. But at the same time, because most people don't, or at least most of the cases that I've come across, don't have a sense of dignity, or the sense of dignity is not restored already. They're not in the space where they can knowingly make these decisions. Practically, I would ask them, okay, what does that really mean? How do you know that this is what God is calling you to do in this particular moment in time, right? And walk them through it. Don't play the martyr when you don't have to.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like actually a lot of people, especially for Christians,
They love
right?
to do that.
They are so good at
Yeah.
being the martyrs. They'll be like, you see,
Yeah, they
Jesus
try to
like,
rationalize it
yeah,
by doing that. Yeah.
take the cross, right? So I need to like turn the other cheek.
Yeah, may
and I
offer
just
my
put
suffering
myself-
for the redemption
Yeah.
of the world.
Then I would tell them, with all charity, then it's your choice. Don't complain.
Ouch.
I think Daniel wanted to say something.
Because you have made that choice.
I wonder, even for those who you said they have a martyr mentality, or are they doing that to sort of supplement some brokenness within themselves? That my identity now as a martyr, then I feel
Give sense to
better.
the chaos.
That I am good enough. Yeah. But if I don't have that, I'm not good enough. When I need to find some way to, like Father says, restore my dignity or identity.
Another scripture for you. I tell you, you must forgive them more than 7 times. You must continue to forgive them even if they do wrong to you 77 times. Yeah, so
Correct.
understood. Okay, moving on.
Moving on.
I think in this term of like forgiveness, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I just forgive them, go on with my life. What is that call for forgiveness in this situation?
So, one of the most common things I hear in the confessional is the sin of unforgiveness. Again, in my experience, the reason for unforgiveness is not because, the penitent is coming to confession, right? So they know. It's not because there's no desire to forgive, but because there is, perhaps, for whatever reason, an inability to forgive and to accept and to move on. So a lot of the times when that's the case, I'll ask, you desire it, right? Yes. Then maybe the reason you cannot, or you're not able to at this point in time, is because the hurts are too deep. Right? They're just there. Right? You want to forgive, you cannot. That's where grace is important. Remember that Jesus is healer. Remember that Jesus is the one who forgives all our sins. Right? Through him our sins are forgiven. Yeah? And so then, maybe what you need to do now is not to force yourself to forgive, right? But to give yourself some time and space, give Jesus some time and space to attend to the hurts that have been caused to you that are preventing you from forgiving.
Wow, but how to allow him to heal the hurts and to also eventually forgive? If, let's say, my, not abuser, the toxic person, right, keeps doing the action again and again.
I've had clients who've come in and then after that tell me, after a few sessions, I'm so glad, Daniel, you didn't ask me to forgive. Yeah. I said, no, you need to take time to sit with that pain and to process it. I think one of the well-meaning, but sometimes good intention, but sometimes the effect is not so good as you tell people, you get over it. You don't get over hurts. You have to work through them. And which means you've got to go through the pain. You've got to sit with that pain. You've got to make sense of it. And then come to a space where you feel empowered to say that I'm in control of myself. That person hurt me. I can't control that person. I can control myself. And only when I think you are at that space where you feel empowered, then the notion of forgiveness becomes a real possibility. Before that, you're too fast. I've heard people, she's your mother, what? You forgive her lah. She doesn't mean it. Then you see, filming, ready to like rip the head off that person, you know. And it's because you're dealing with so much pain.
But I think sometimes also, and I speak for myself, right, as a Catholic, you just want to, that's the right thing to do, right, to forgive. And so it's very easy for me to just okay, I need to forgive. And so I pressure myself, you know. And then I think a lot of times what happens is that I don't acknowledge what I'm actually feeling. And I want to fast forward that process and then just okay, I forgive you.
A lot of times we think we are forgiving, but actually what we are doing is we are covering up the hurt. So when it comes to this kind of emotional hurts, that's a bit hard to visualize. Give you a very simple analogy. Let's say you walk outside cathedral, you walk on the road, right? You slip and you fall, and you scrape your knee pretty badly, right? But because forgive or whatever, right? I'll cover up. Never mind, I'll just leave it alone. Don't do anything to it. Next day, I just wear jeans to cover it up. And if you do this long enough, what's going to happen to your knee? You'll get infected.
We need a doctor here. I don't know what happened to your knee.
You try your wound will be infected. And if you still don't do anything about it, right, then it might get gangrenous. Infection, it gets bad. Then after that, you might have to amputate.
Oh my goodness.
You know what's the problem?
Never deal with it.
No, many people do that with the emotional hurts. And you know what happens? They amputate that part of their heart. That's why after a while they cannot feel, they cannot laugh, right? They think they're doing all these things, but they cannot. A lot of the times when I encounter also just relationships that are in crisis, and again, this can be anything, couples, married, parent, child, whatever, right? Everyone in general begins on a good setting. They want things to turn out well. And why and how it's gotten to this stage where the relationship has become so toxic, maybe, is probably because there has just been a lot of hurts. And they don't deal with it, they don't know how, whatever, right? They cut, don't feel. After a while, I give up, and then that's it.
I think following on the analogy, I use this sometimes in therapy. Also, it's like an abscess. You know, it's an abscess, like a wound that's, and you put got a lot of pus, right? It's filled with pus.
Blister lah, is it?
But a lot deeper, and you put a handy plus over it. So on the surface, it's healed, but underneath a lot of pus. And every time you knock into something, it's going to hurt. And that's what the emotional abscess is. And sometimes when they come in and I listen to them, I'm like, okay, it sounds like there's a lot that hasn't been dealt with. And I offer to them that it's going to be painful, because we're going to go deep. And if you want to clean out that wound through talk therapy, it's going to take quite a few sessions. It's going to take a lot more. So for believers, I would sometimes say, you might want to take a spiritual aspect to this as well. Seek healing, prayer and all that, because that's another aspect which I would say with Jesus, he can do in one session probably.
Thank you for watching today's episode of TBH. Let us know your thoughts and what other topics you would like us to talk about in the comment section down below.
Like, share, and subscribe. And ring that notification bell, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye!
I think a lot of the parents, when they do not have a good marriage, what they do is that they actually turn their child into their spouse. And so I don't know, is that toxic in some way where you manipulate
Like cast expectations on your
Yeah.
child that actually should be
that they
for
need
your
to live up
spouse.
as a spouse, right?
I think that's not healthy for the development of the child.
Yeah.
Very, very sure. And also not healthy actually in the long run for the mother. Lah.
Because I think that just distracts her from the pain that is in the marriage. And she's putting it on the child and expecting the child maybe to fill up the emotional void that maybe the spouse has left there. Lah. So I think that's definitely not helpful in the long run. You just it's the handy plus on top of the abscess.
But then as a child, I mean, like, when you are able to recognize it, right? And some say it's like the umbilical cord effect, like you just need to cut it, you know, and then when in doing so, I think then that's where maybe the parent may feel that how come you're like abandoning me, you know, how come you're leaving me alone when you were always there by my side.
I have worked with clients where we've had to sort of re-examine that. And where have the narratives come from? Very often the narratives have come from much earlier in life. And when they were much younger, they didn't have the emotional and psychological maturity to sort of deal with it. It's just, okay, mommy said like that, okay, I need to come home, need to listen to mommy and all that. But as an adult, when we re-examine, we put this under the microscope again, many of the clients are able to say, hey, that's a bit warped, that doesn't feel right now. So what does this new insight provide for you? And many of them are able to say, I think I need to draw healthier boundaries. They recognize that it's actually impacting on other relationships, like marriage, or sometimes even their parenting of their children.
I wanted to say Proverbs, as iron sharpens an iron, so does a person sharpen another.
Explain.
Means you sanctify me. Peace out.